All right, let's get into this. Today, we're kind of going on an investigation. We're starting out with a pretty weird collection of documents. A locked webpage, a super dense engineering textbook, and a dusty old historical account. And our mission? Well, it's to uncover the hidden human story behind a really complex scientific field, soil mechanics.
You know, every good investigation starts with a clue, right? And ours begins with a locked door. Seriously, I was just trying to look up some course details online, and then I hit this.
I'm sure you've seen a message just like this before, and it's a perfect way to think about how technical fields can feel sometimes. It's just a wall. It feels impersonal, totally inaccessible, and there's no obvious way in. You're not authorized, you don't know the password, you're an outsider.
And even when you can see something, it's usually a jumble of jargon, just like this. I mean, what is the Information Governance Unit, or the Hunter Center for Entrepreneurship? It's a language that's really only meant for insiders, which just makes you feel even more locked out. So where do we go from here to crack this thing open? We have to go to the official story.
Okay, so to get past that locked door, our next logical step is to check out the official source, the academic textbook. This should give us the clean, orderly, the authorized version of what this field is supposed to be all about.
So let's just ask the big question. What is soil mechanics, according to the official record? The textbook is going to give us all the formal, structured answers. Let's have a look.
All right, here's our first definition. A strip foundation. Okay, it's precise, it's technical, and it's a little dry, isn't it? This is the world of formal, impersonal science. There are no people here, just principles.
And here's another one. Punching shear failure. Again, it's a super clean academic definition. It's describing a type of disaster, a failure, but in a way that is completely removed from the chaos and the mess of a real-world event. This is knowledge that has been scrubbed totally clean of where it came from.
And this is the peak of that official world. It's a table of rules and numbers from the British Standard. Dense gravel, it can take over 600 kilonewtons per square meter. Soft clay, less than 75. It's this world of certainty, of pure regulation. But is that the whole story? Oh, it's not even close.
So, this is where our little investigation takes a pretty big turn. We're pivoting. We are leaving that clean, sterile textbook world behind, and we are digging into a dusty old historical document that tells a completely different, unofficial story, a secret history. And boom, here it is, the turning point. A failure occurred. All of a sudden, that abstract idea of failure from the textbook becomes a real thing at a specific time and a specific place. This disaster at the Chingford Reservoir is what actually forced a new way of thinking and sparked the birth of a whole community.
So who was there to investigate? It wasn't a set of abstract principles. It was a small team of actual people. Here they are, the pioneers. Cooling, Skempton, Golder. They were going to conferences, they were recruiting each other, they were forming discussion groups. This entire field wasn't just discovered, it was built by a handful of people back in the 1930s.
So here's the crucial thing to see. This contrast. The textbook gives us this orderly, clean world of formulas and definitions. But the reality, the actual source, was this world of passionate arguments, messy failures, and some seriously quirky personalities.
How passionate are we talking? Well, this little anecdote says it all. Can you imagine arguing about soil settlement so intensely that you have to wake your colleague up at 3 in the morning just to tell him he was right? This was not a 9-to-5 job for these guys. It was a total obsession.
And right alongside all the serious science, you had this incredible practical wisdom and wit. Sir Harold Harding's law is my absolute favorite. It's funny, but it's also a deeply true observation about risk and redundancy that you will never find in a formal textbook. And I love the ending. This is a well-known scientific fact.
This story is it's fantastic. So after the first failure, the scientists redesigned the bank. But the engineer went and rebuilt it to the old design. It failed again, and when they asked him why, he said he was just going to cut it to the new shape later. It's just a perfect snapshot of the gap between scientific theory and, human beings.
Okay, so now we have the two stories, the official one and the unofficial one. Let's start connecting the dots and see how those messy human stories are actually the true foundation for all that structured knowledge we saw back in the textbook.
Now, this is something I really did not expect to find in a historical account of soil mechanics, poetry. Seriously,
One of the founders, a Dr. Golder, was so inspired by the new term geotechnology that he actually wrote a poem about it. Manna descended from the skies when geotechnology was born. It just reveals this hidden layer of creativity and passion that you'd never see in the formulas.
And it wasn't just him. When they were trying to start the field's main journal, Geotechnique, they got this little verse sent to them from another engineer. It's this playful, encouraging poem, cheering them on. It really shows you that tight-knit, collaborative spirit of this small community building their brand new world.
And that community, man, it needed a huge dose of self-belief. I mean, just imagine starting a new scientific journal completely from scratch. The founder looks back here on their complete confidence. He says the idea that it might fail, it didn't even enter their heads. That is the kind of entrepreneurial spirit you need to build something new from the ground up.
And how did this major scientific institution get started? With a single check. The very first subscription for the journal was for £1, sent in before they'd even started printing. It's such a powerful symbol of their humble beginnings.
So, this brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? After seeing both the textbook and the secret history, what is the real foundation of a science? Is it the formulas and the tables, or is it something else?
I think this final poem just sums it up perfectly. It describes the founders as a brood of bastard chicks who weren't playing by the normal rules. They were just people, playing about with pats of soil in a humble outbuilding, who then were metamorphosed into soil mechanics. The formal science grew directly out of these quirky, unorthodox, and very, very human beginnings.
So, after all that, what's the big takeaway from our investigation? I think it's that even the most rigid, technical, and seemingly impersonal fields are built on a foundation of human passion, failure, arguments, humor, and collaboration. The clean textbook? That's just the final, polished chapter of a much messier and, frankly, a far more interesting human story.
And so that leaves us with one final question for you. The next time you come across a complex formula, or a dense piece of jargon, or an impenetrable textbook, just ask yourself, what failures, what 3 a.m. arguments, and what quirky poems are hidden behind all of it? What is the human story that you're not being told?